Hi everybody, this is Ethan. Yeah, he's a happy boy. Yes, he is. He's 7 years old, and he's our champ because he has been through so much in his very short life. He was born with a cardiac heart condition that unfortunately is not able to be repaired. And we had some scary situations, especially during our 5.5 week stay in the hospital at the end of the summer. But Ethan promises not to do any of that again because we didn't like it. He's returned to school and all his normal activities, and so far so good this year. It doesn't mean we're not without our struggles, but we always struggle with our severe disability that we have now because of the cardiac arrest he suffered at age 2 after his 4th heart surgery. And so he's very disabled, very reliant on caretakers for everything. You need 24 hours a day watching, right? You need a nurse with you or mommy and daddy. And we really, really need that because we need somebody awake and watching him at all times, because when he gets scary fast. And he needs help right away. And there's all sorts of things that help with that. First is the nursing. And nursing really would only be possible because of Medicaid. If we don't have Medicaid, we can't keep him safe. Because we only get 360 hours a year of nursing from our main insurance, which if everyone out there looked at their regular insurance plan, that's probably about what you would get. And then therapies, physical therapy, occupational and speech therapy, which someone who has a movement disorder and speech and swallowing issues really, really needs ongoing, just to maintain their level, let alone progress and keep moving forward. Those would not be possible without Medicaid either. He would get very little every year. He'd use it up in the first 2 weeks of the year pretty much, between therapy and nursing. The other part of that is when Medicaid has gotten more control by the state. We've seen over the years how the costs, reimbursements have gone down and down and down, and unfortunately that makes our nurses less available because good nurses, it's hard for them to be able to afford to work in home care. Some of them still do, but it's harder and harder to do that because they just don't get paid enough money. Same thing with the therapists. And he really, really needs both of those. So there really is no fat to trim here, especially for kids like Ethan. And I realize there's other people that are on Medicaid, but the vast majority are elderly or disabled or medically complex or medically fragile or have issues that are ongoing and chronic and really, really need help. So these are not people that are taking. His father and I have worked very hard our whole lives. His father has an amazing insurance plan, and yet it's not enough. So we need Medicaid. So I implore anyone who has any sort of power to, with their voice or with their position, to be able to fight and try to stop any repeal or replacement of the Affordable Care Act that does not protect Medicaid, especially for kids like Ethan, but also for adults, because I'm even more scared when he becomes an adult, even with the current system that we have. And if you look at everything, here's Ethan's equipment. That's his ventilator that goes right to his trach that's here to keep him breathing and keeping his lungs nice and healthy. And he has a airway clearance system down below that keeps all of his secretions moving. And there's his feeding pump, because Ethan can't eat by mouth, at least not enough to stay the big boy we want him to be. And he also has oxygen. This is an oxygen concentrator, and Ethan uses quite a lot because he has a pulmonary heart condition. So we have the concentrator, and we also have his emergency tank, which unfortunately our son uses a lot of. And a suction machine, and his pulse ox that we have to have on all the time. It tells us his heart rate and his oxygen saturation. And if anybody's looking at that, those numbers are amazing for him right now. So if you're a medical person, you know what kind of life we're dealing with. And if you're not, You got to know this boy fights and fights and fights and fights, and we're there for the fight with him. And he's been doing so well, and we're so proud of him. Yes, we are. And he's really a happy boy. But he needs so many medicines and so much equipment, as you see, just to keep him healthy and alive and at home. But even if he were in a facility, all those things would still be there, cost-wise. And were it not for the Affordable Care Act, I think when he was 4, he would have exceeded his lifetime limit. So we absolutely need to not put back on a lifetime limit, no matter what plan gets accepted down the road or, you know, what happens. And we also cannot afford to take off to ban people for pre-existing conditions for coverage, because obviously he has a lot of conditions. He actually technically probably has about 15 different diagnoses. But the big ones are the congenital heart defect and the anoxic brain injury. And all of that, as hard as it is, he fights, we fight, we can deal with that. But the fear of him losing coverage and us not being able to provide what he needs for his life, we can't do it on our own. My husband and I have worked hard our whole lives. There's just no way we could do it. It wouldn't matter how much regular insurance we had. We need the Medicaid to make that happen. We need the pre-existing to be covered. We need no lifetime limits. And we need your help. And I just want everybody to think about this as they're thinking about cutting out and trimming the fat, because there is no fat in this situation to trim. We can't do anything else. And thank you for listening, and thank you to Ethan for being such a good boy. All right, can you say bye to everybody and give them a smile? You gonna do it? Oh, come on, say bye-bye. Mwah! Right? Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Good boy.